right, welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Awesome. So today we're going to be looking at something pretty wild in the world of character animation.
Okay.
It's a paper called Animate Anyone 2, High Fidelity Character Image Animation with Environment Affordance.
Interesting title.
Yeah, and it's basically all about making characters move realistically in their environments, like you'd see in a movie or something.
Oh, wow. So like they're actually interacting with their surroundings, not just, moving on top of a still background.
Yeah, exactly. And it's something that, honestly, even with motion capture and all these advancements, we haven't quite nailed yet.
You're right. I mean, you can always tell when a character is just kind of pasted onto a scene. Their movements might be impressive, but they just don't feel like they belong there.
Totally. It breaks the illusion. Like, when you see a character walk right through an object they should be picking up, it's so jarring.
It takes you right out of the moment.
So this Animate Anyone too, it's trying to solve that, right?
Exactly. It's about going beyond just capturing the motion itself, but actually understanding how a character should move within a given environment.
Okay, so like how we adjust our posture if we're leaning against a wall, or how we reach for something on a table.
Exactly. All those subtle adjustments we make without even thinking about it, that's what this sim is trying to bring to animated characters.
Wow. That's pretty ambitious, but how does it actually work?
Well, one of the really interesting things they do is use what they call a shape-agnostic mask.
Shape agnostic mask. What's that?
Basically, think of it like a virtual skeleton that can adapt to any body type.
Oh, I see.
So it doesn't matter if it's a muscular superhero or a slender ballerina, the system can make their movements look natural.
Interesting. But what about interacting with objects? Like, how do they make sure a character's hand actually grabs a cup instead of just passing through it?
Well, that's where the object guider comes into play.
Okay, and what does that do?
The system analyzes the scene and identifies features of objects that the character might interact with, like their shape, size, position, all that.
Uh-huh.
And then it uses a technique called spatial blending to actually incorporate that information into the animation process.
So it's like giving the character a sense of where the object is and how to interact with it realistically.
Exactly. It's not just about placing the character near the object. It's about making sure their movements are actually informed by its presence.
That's super clever.
It is, and it goes even further than that. They also use something called depth-wise pose modulation to make sure the character's movements look anatomically correct.
Depth-wise pose modulation. That sounds complicated.
It is a bit, but basically it's analyzing how different body parts relate to each other in space, like how an arm bends or a leg extends when you take a step.
So it's like the system understands not just what the character's doing, but how their body actually moves to do it.
Precisely.
That's incredible. And all of this leads to some pretty amazing advantages, right?
Absolutely. I mean, the research paper highlights three key advantages that really set Animate Anyone 2 apart.
Oh, okay. Let's hear them.
Well, first you have seamless scene integration, so the characters blend perfectly into their surroundings. No more awkward cutout look.
Right, right. This could be huge for like fantasy films or sci-fi where creating those believable worlds is so important.
Exactly. And then there's coherent object interaction, which, as we were talking about, makes sure those interactions look and feel real.
Picking things up, pushing them, all that.
Yep, all while moving naturally. And that, I think, opens up a whole world of storytelling possibilities. Think about action sequences. They can be so much more dynamic and believable.
Oh, totally. It's like we're one step closer to that dream of truly immersive animation. So what's the third advantage?
The third one is robust handling of diverse motions. So Animate Anyone 2 can tackle a really wide range of movements, from simple gestures to super complex actions, without sacrificing that realism.
So like you could animate a parkour sequence with all kinds of crazy flips and jumps and it would still look natural.
Exactly. It's really designed to handle those challenging movements.
Wow, this is seriously impressive. But did they actually test it out? Did it actually work as well as they hoped?
Oh, they definitely put it to the test. They used a data set of, get this, 100,000 videos.
100,000. Wow.
Yeah, all sorts of scenes, actions, different types of characters. And across the board, it outperformed other animation methods. Not only did it look amazing, but it scored higher on all those metrics that measure quality and realism.
It's like they cracked the code. Or well, at least they're getting really close.
It does seem that way.
But I mean, there have to be some limitations, right? Nothing's perfect, especially when you're dealing with something this complex.
Right, of course. And, the technology is still evolving, so there are definitely areas where it can be improved.
Like what?
Well, for example, they found that it still struggles a bit with really complex hand-object interactions.
Oh, so like really fine motor skills, like playing an instrument or something.
Yeah, things like that. Those intricate movements are still a challenge to capture perfectly.
Makes sense. But what about that SAM thing you mentioned before? How important is that to how well the whole system works?
Oh, that's a really good point. Yeah, the success of Animate Anyone 2 is actually pretty dependent on SAM, which is this powerful segmentation model that helps identify the objects in a scene.
Okay, so if Sam gets it wrong, it messes things up for Animate Anyone too.
Exactly. And SAM is incredibly advanced, but it's not perfect. So, if it misidentifies an object, it can affect how well the character interacts with it. So, yeah, that's definitely one of the limitations right now.
Interesting. So the better Sam gets, the better this whole system can get, right?
Exactly.
Wow, it really is all connective.
It is. It's fascinating how it all comes together.
It's pretty amazing stuff. I mean, it really seems like it could change the way we tell stories, make characters even more believable, even more relatable.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if their movement feel truly authentic, really integrated with their environment, that can create a whole new level of emotional connection with the audience.
Right. It's like instead of just watching the story, you're almost experiencing it alongside the characters.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it.
So the all sounds incredible, but how easy is it for animators to actually use this technology? Like, do you need a whole team of programmers and a supercomputer?
Well, the good news is that the researchers really focused on making it user-friendly.
Oh, good.
Yeah, they built it on an intuitive interface, so animators have a lot of control without needing to be coding experts.
So you don't need a computer science degree to animate a character picking up a cup.
Exactly.
That's a relief. But I imagine there's still a learning curve, right? Like, what kind of training would an animator need to get the most out of this system?
Of course, there will be some training involved, but they've designed it to be accessible to a wide range of users. It's, kind of like learning a new software program.
Yeah. Once you get the basics down, the possibilities open up.
Exactly. And the more animators who have access to it, the more amazing content we're likely to see.
Oh, absolutely. But speaking of tools, we can't ignore the elephant in the war, artificial intelligence. AI seems to be getting more and more involved in creative fields. So what's its role in all of this? How important is AI to making Animate Anyone 2 work?
Oh, AI is absolutely crucial.
Really?
Yeah, the whole thing relies on these sophisticated AI algorithms to analyze all that complex environmental data and translate it into those realistic movements.
So the animators don't have to create every single motion by hand anymore?
Not exactly. I mean, AI is handling a lot of the heavy lifting, so animators can focus on, the more creative aspects like character development, storytelling, all of that.
Oh, I see. So it's more of a collaboration between human creativity and AI's processing power, like they're working together.
Exactly. I think that's a great way to describe it.
And this could have a big impact on the animation industry, right?
I think so, yeah. It could lead to, a surge in independent animation, maybe. Smaller studios and individual creators would have access to tools that were once only available to the big studios.
Right. Like it levels the playing field a bit.
Exactly. And as the technology keeps evolving, who knows what new possibilities will emerge?
It's exciting to think about, but let's zoom out a bit and think about the bigger picture. How could Animate Anyone 2 change things beyond the world of entertainment?
Well, that's where it gets really interesting, because it has the potential to impact fields far beyond film and TV.
Oh, like what?
Well, imagine using it to create, educational videos. Students could interact with historical figures or explore distant planets in a way that feels incredibly real.
Oh, wow, that would be amazing.
Right. Or think about training simulations, for high-risk professions like surgery or firefighting.
Yeah, so they can practice those complex procedures in a safe environment.
Exactly. And let's not forget about preserving cultural heritage. Imagine animating ancient artifacts or bringing historical figures to life. It could be a powerful tool for storytelling, education, and cultural preservation, all in one.
That's that's really incredible. I mean, there are so many positive ways this could be used, but we have to talk about the potential downsides too, right?
Oh, absolutely. We can't just focus on the good without acknowledging the risks. And one of the biggest concerns is the potential for misuse, especially when it comes to creating misleading or harmful content.
It's kind of scary to think about, honestly, all the ways this could be used to mislead people.
Yeah, it's a real concern. And, deepfakes are a big part of that.
Deepfakes.
Yeah, those videos that look incredibly real but are completely fabricated.
Oh, right. Like where they make it look like someone is saying or doing something they never actually did.
Exactly. And with a technology like this, those deepfakes could become even more convincing, even harder to detect.
It's a bit of a nightmare scenario, isn't it? Like, imagine someone using this to create a fake video of a politician saying something inflammatory or to discredit someone's reputation.
Exactly. It could have a huge impact on public trust. you know, even on elections or international relations.
It's pretty unsettling. So what do we do about it? How do we prevent this kind of misuse without, stifling the incredible potential of this technology?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it? And there are no easy answers, unfortunately. But I think the first step is awareness. Just being aware of the potential risks is crucial.
Right, right. Knowledge is power and all that.
Exactly. And then we need to be having those tough conversations about ethics and responsibility. What are the guidelines for using this technology? How do we balance innovation with safety?
Yeah, it's a tricky balance for sure. And it's not just about preventing malicious use either, right? There's also the question of how this will impact jobs in the animation industry.
Right, that's another big concern. If AI is taking over some of the more technical aspects of animation, what does that mean for the people who do those jobs now?
Yeah, will human animators become obsolete?
I don't think so. I mean, at its core, animation is about creativity, about storytelling, about bringing characters to life. And those are things that AI, at least for now, can't really replicate.
So you think it's more about like AI augmenting human capabilities rather than replacing them?
I think so, yeah. The role of the animator might change. Maybe they'll become more like directors, guiding the AI and adding those final touches that make a character truly believable.
It's interesting to think about how the industry might adapt. It's like we're at this turning point, this moment where we have to decide how we want to integrate AI into these creative fields.
Yeah, it's definitely a pivotal moment. And Animate Anyone, too, is a perfect example of that. It's this incredible tool with so much potential for good, but also, the potential for harm if it's misused.
It's a powerful reminder that technology is just a tool. And it's up to us, as a society, to decide how we want to use it.
Exactly.
So what can our listeners do? How can they be a part of this conversation?
Well, I think the most important thing is to stay informed. Read about these advancements, learn how they work, and engage in discussions about their impact.
Right, right. Don't just bury your head in the sand and hope for the best.
Exactly. And support organizations that are working on developing ethical guidelines for AI. Make your voice heard, share your thoughts and concerns with your friends, family, your elected officials. Because the future of AI is being shaped right now, and we all have a role to play in making sure it's a future we can all be proud of.
That's a great point. We all have a responsibility here. Well, this has been an amazing deep dive. Animate Anyone 2 is truly groundbreaking stuff, and it's definitely sparked a lot of important questions about the future of animation and, frankly, the future of technology as a whole.
It has been fascinating, hasn't it? It's incredible to see how far we've come, and it's exciting to think about what's next.
And a little bit scary, too, if we're being honest. But that's why these conversations are so important.
I agree.
Well, thanks for joining us on this journey. We hope you found it as thought-provoking as we did.
Thanks for having me.
And for everyone listening, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep those minds open. Until next time, keep on diving.
2HE.